Testing, testing. Okay, let's get that Donkey Kong Country music turned up. All right. Everyone, chat. Can you hear us? Chat. Sound test. Can you hear us?
Who are you talking to, Austin?
I am. So we're live right now. I hope, and we need to verify with the chat. The chat's going to help us out. We got to know whether we can be heard.
There we go.
All right. Yep, chat's pulling through. Fantastic. A warning for those in the live meeting Discord channel. If you're in that channel and listening to us there and watching the stream on Twitch, you're probably going to hear two sets of voices. So for those of you presenting, when you present, keep that in mind, okay? You might want to mute the tab for the Twitch stream in your browser window, okay? Thank you for the comment on the Nintendo Tower, the Nintendo Tower over here. I appreciate it. The chat. All right, we're going to get started in just a few minutes. We have a fantastic event for you tonight. Thank you all for coming. We are all separated. I know that I've been stranded in my home for a long time, but it is so much fun to get together with everyone virtually, show off projects, and network a little bit. That's what we're going to do tonight, okay? So tonight, we have a fantastic kind of two-parter. The first parter, from about 7:10 to 8, is going to be an interview, an industry interview with John Hayase, who is a Wolverine alum. He did the Ross School Business MBA in, I believe, 1998. Is that correct, John?
Yes, that's correct.
Excellent. He then went to a series of really, really impactful and impressive stops. He went to EA and did some stuff with EA.com. He then became, I believe, the executive producer at a studio that chat has certainly heard of, like EA Visceral Games and EA Redwood Shores, their previous name. Chat, have you heard of EA Visceral Games? Have you played any of their games? If I recall, John, during the time you were there, was that from 2002 to about 2006? That was Tiger Woods PGA. You did a lot with that series. But also during that time, Visceral Games did the Godfather game, the Lord of the Rings games, right? Spectacular tie-in movies. I know I played those a lot in my childhood.
We did Bond as well.
Yes, James Bond from Russia with Love.
And Dead Space was an original that we did at the time as well.
Excellent. I didn't know if that happened after your time there or during, but that's a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. John then went on to become the studio head at Sony Online Entertainment. Is that correct?
That's right.
And the games there were very impactful as well. EverQuest, Free Realms, if anyone in the chat has played that, in addition to some ports of Peggle and Mortal Kombat for the PlayStation Network.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really cool. I can't wait to hear about some of your memories from all of these fantastic game productions. Just to finish this off, John then went on to become the Senior Vice President of Product Development at Atari. So essentially, John presided over all of Atari's game studios around that 2010 period. That includes Eden Games, famous for the Test Drive series, Cryptic Studios, who did the Star Trek Online. So absolutely incredible work. Very, very great games. And now John has moved on, and he is starting to really, really give back. He is now doing a lot of consulting and mentorship of startup companies in the game dev space. John, would you like to talk about some of the impactful work you're doing right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, right now, I think the work that I've been doing, it has really been focused on more current game topics. So I've been working in the esports space, still doing a little bit in the VR and the AR space, and really just working with founders who have ideas and are trying to bring them to market.
Awesome. Yeah, startups, right? Releasing the impactful products of tomorrow. Super, super cool. Small teams with a lot of fight in them. It's great stuff. Thank you for contributing to these early stage companies. Now, before we get to the main interview with John, I want to talk about the second segment here that goes from about 8 to 9 p.m. And it's going to be our monthly show and tell, where members of the community get to show off their projects for exactly no more than 5 minutes. You've got 5 minutes to show off your project, talk about anything you want to talk about, and then 5 minutes of Q&A from the chat, okay? And this time, we have 7 projects that are going to be shown off. We have Josh Verhoef with Metal Star, an industrial 2.5D platformer, a postmortem. We have Oil Leak Games, represented by Jordan Ajlauni, who is showing off Robot... is it called Robot Adventure? I'm not sure. But a game that he provided for the locally sourced indie bundle that just went out. Jason Eaton is going to be talking about Lockstep game design. Corbin Reeves is going to be here with Paperboy Rush. He just released that game, Azure Ravens Entertainment did. And he might talk about a new horror game coming up called Peter Paper. I will be talking about a game called Life's a Beach. I apologize for the title. It's a little bit too spicy, I know. Blame Andrew. And a progress update on that. Matthew Rader of Wolverine Soft Studio is going to be talking about their recent release, Bloom, Tome of Power. And Alex Trombley of Wolverine Soft Studio is going to be talking about their other release, Desolation Place, which is a horror game that has gotten a number of Let's Plays on itch.io. It's very impressive stuff. But let's go ahead and get into it. So let me bring up I've got some questions written down. Twitch chat. As John is talking, please let us know. Just throw into the chat box any questions you have for John. And in between the questions that I ask, we will get to some of your questions as well, okay? So get on that Twitch chat, and we'll go ahead and begin. You ready, John?
Yep.
Fantastic. So I'll bring up the questions first. For those of us who mainly work with and preside over small teams, because we have a lot of small teams and hobbyist game developers, hopefully one day we'll have big teams, but we'll get there. What was the most challenging thing about heading up these humongous teams at EA Redwood Shores? Mm-hmm. And what was your day-to-day life like? You know, how much sleep did you get? Mm-hmm. What were your biggest concerns when you were in that impactful role?
So I'm going to start by saying I'm not sure that I'm able to connect my video. Maybe there's something on your end. Maybe not, but we're fine as is.
What does it say when you click the turn on camera button, the big video button at the bottom left? What does it say? It
says I can't stream into this channel.
That's strange. Oh, maybe we need to give you permission. So Owen. So ladies and gentlemen, Corbin Reeves is not with us right now, my co-organizer. Owen West is running his account and kind of doing our admin for us. Owen, can you try and find a way to give John permission to get his video going while we ask these questions?
All right. So so while he's doing that, you know, I'll say, you know, it was actually interesting, you know, in the beginning, right? I mean, we're talking about a while ago now. Oh, there we go. Hold on.
Hey, hello, fantastic.
Hi, everybody. Greetings from San Diego, by the way. That's where I'm based. You know, going back to your question, Austin, you know, our teams actually exploded in size. You know, originally when I joined the team, we were doing PlayStation and Nintendo games. Then I went to PlayStation 2. And then went to Xbox, and you know, teams, you know, these large teams were, you know, in many respects they were expanding because we were adopting more and more platforms.
Okay.
So if you were going to do a single platform, let's say, you know, you're starting and you're just going to do a PC game or a mobile game, you know, the size of the team, you know, is largely going to be driven by the amount of content that you want to create and, you know, the technology that you want to develop. But, you know, as we got, you know, at a company like EA, where we were trying to cover so many different platforms, you end up having specialized teams that were, you know, not really porting, but basically taking the same assets and actually writing games for the different the different platforms that we were trying to build to. So that
Okay.
certainly added to the size.
Mhm.
Organizationally, we went from, and I think the big inflection point is when you you know a team at a certain point, everyone on the team,
Mhm.
and you're all sharing the same physical space,
Yeah.
and if you have a question, you just yell across the room or whatever. And to me, the you know the point where that's no longer possible is when you really have to start to adopt different practices.
Yeah.
And I would say that 20 years ago, it even predated today's standard agile development methodologies, but we were still doing things like daily stand-ups
Okay.
and really just checking in, because at least my experience is that communication is really the key
Mhm.
to everything. And whether
Yeah.
you're all in the same room or whether you're completely virtual, which many teams now are, it's that communication that allows you to really move forward as a team.
Yeah.
And I think one of the real gotchas from teams is when they feel like they know each other so well that they don't have to communicate as much. And it just it's just not the case, right? There's no way for everyone to be able to anticipate whenever everyone else is going to do. So communication was really the thing that was most important that we
Mhm.
focused on, regardless of how big the size of the team was, is making sure that everyone was moving. And of course, when it's a small team and the communication breaks down,
Mhm.
maybe you lose a day or something. But when you're talking about a team of 100 people
Mhm.
and communication breaks down and you lose a day, that's a day times 100 people,
Yeah. Ooh.
and it can be really impactful. So to me, it was all about communication. And whether it was a team of 5 or a team of 100, it really started with, do you have the sort of processes in place to make sure that everyone is communicating,
Mhm.
and doesn't get off on a tangent without anyone knowing about
Excellent. So spending a lot of time trying to optimize the team, get resources to
it.
the right place, stay efficient, stay together, right? That sounds like
Absolutely.
a big job. But
Well, and I think that that is one of the things that you learn, is that it is a skill set. It is a
mhm.
skill set, and at some point you do have to bring in people who have that skill set. And an anecdote from early on, when our team started to get really big, and again, this was 20 years ago now, is we were bringing in a large influx of folks from the feature animation world.
Okay.
And in fact, the feature animation world had been in, sort of in their throes for a number of years, and they had specialized sort of production managers and people
Mhm.
who knew how to do that, the production management part of it, and the communication and all that. So we were actually bringing in a lot of people from that part of the entertainment, interactive entertainment space, and it really helped us. But understanding
Mm.
that that's a skill set, I think, is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the Wolverine Soft studio, right? The student run like 60-person studio at UMich that recently started up. Like they very quickly discovered the value of producers in their roles to make everything efficient, keep everyone on track. And it's really incredible. Now, you started with I believe probably smaller teams earlier in your career, but
Mhm.
then you got to leading EA's, one of their most prestigious studios, and then after that, you went off to be Atari's VP, and you ran not one studio but multiple.
Yep.
How did that? How did it feel to go from managing, one big team to
Mhm.
several enormous ones?
Well, I think that the primary thing that allowed me to be successful was surrounding myself with good people. At the end of the day, when I had a team, I always had a strong set of functional leads. If I was head of a studio and had
Hmm.
multiple projects, then I had multiple executive producers that were leading those titles. And when I was at Sony Online and then later at Atari, where I had multiple studios, right? You had a studio head that was responsible for that physical studio, and it was really important. But again, communication was very important, and at that point, you really have to rely uh, on your leaders
Hmm.
to maintain those relationships
Yeah,
with everyone. So I think there's some simple management math that says that you can only effectively manage up to 10 people directly,
sure.
and then at that point it no longer becomes effective. And I think the
Yeah.
rule applies, whether you're on a small team or whether you're running a studio of 500 people.
Absolutely. And this is kind of a follow up to that. Surrounding yourself with excellent people, leaders, is so important. Building your team.
Hmm.
Um, what did you look for when you were trying to construct and design that perfect team? Were there any rules of thumb you went by? How did you get that done so effectively?
Well, I think there's no secret formula, I would say. But to me, some of the things that I looked for, number one, were people who were passionate about games, and were unafraid of sharing their opinion about you know about gameplay, about entertainment value. And a lot of times, you're hiring artists, you're hiring developers, you're hiring producers, the game designers, testers. Um, and a lot of times you have people who I just want to be really good at my thing,
Sure.
and I don't care whether I'm building a TV
Mm,
commercial or a video game or an animated short film. And my experience is you really want someone who cares about the end product. Um, and the great thing about working on games is that most people who work on games play games,
yes.
right? And I'm really a believer that fun is kind of a universal thing, and that most people can pick up a product, even if it's not in a genre that they necessarily appreciate or play on a regular basis, but they can kind of see that why it's fun,
Hmm.
or more often they can see why it's not fun, unfortunately. um, so to me, it's really that passion about the product. Because I mean, in the end, your goal is to hire highly skilled people who are you know take pride in their craft and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But
Yeah.
video games is a very specific entertainment product, and people who appreciate that and are passionate about that are really important to bring onto teams.
Yeah. In my experience, passion really does push a lot of other things. If you're passionate,
Mhm.
you're going to put in
Mhm.
the hours. And if you put in the
Mhm.
hours, you're going to have the skills, right?
Mhm.
You're going to keep improving. So excellent. Thank you so much. Let's grab a Twitch chat. We've got Da Vinci with a question. Do you have a favorite game that you have shipped? What's your favorite baby?
Oh man, it's interesting. There a lot of them are so different, and I think one of the things you pointed out, Austin, is that a lot of the products that I shipped were expansions or evolutions of other products. But one of the rather than favorite, I'll say one of the things that I was most proud of over the years was actually was Free Realms. It was a
Okay.
game that it was designed for kids. It was an open world game. It had a beautiful artistic style, and it was really a leap of faith by Sony Online Entertainment, uh, into a new genre targeted at a younger crowd. And it was a great game. It's not around anymore, and so it's part of history now.
Mhm.
But the team that brought that together, really poured a lot of energy and a lot of passion into that game, and we learned a lot. And I would say that one of the lessons that I learned working on that is that you can't lose sight of your audience, right? And a lot of games, years ago and even today, a lot of game development teams build games that they think are fun, but if you want the game to be played by a lot of people, then
Yep.
you have to kind of get out of your skin and
Yep.
really spend time understanding your audience. And a bunch of folks who had created EverQuest, a hardcore MMO, came together to build a kids open world game, and it was a whole different audience,
That's
and there was
tough.
so much learning that happened. you know I mean, a simple anecdote, right? If you give a kid a mouse and a keyboard and free reign on their camera, the first thing they're going to do is spin their camera up to the sky, and they will have no idea where they are.
Oh my gosh.
So, little things like that, I think, were great learning moments, and I'm really
Yeah.
proud of that product.
Oh, that's fantastic. You had to get out, you had to understand your customer, had to adapt. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Your answer brought up kind of an interesting topic that sometimes we think about in the course I teach, EX 494. Is that video games have a little bit of a challenge when it comes to preservation and history. There are some games where that's more straightforward. Take an NES console. You can sort of preserve those. You can sort of emulate those if you need to, and you can play those games in vaguely the way that they were experienced at the time.
Mhm.
However, you have made a lot of impactful MMOs, right, which
Mhm.
rely on server technology, client server, and a huge player base
Mhm.
that is there for a while, but maybe it would be really hard to get that back. Like,
Yep.
what are your thoughts when you think about like, wow, how could we preserve these experiences and not just relegate it to YouTube videos
Yeah.
and write-ups, right, that people have to look up?
Well, I mean, it's certainly a complicated topic, right? I mean,
Yeah.
anytime where your game sits on a server somewhere, it introduces this challenge of,
Yep.
playability. Um, there have been attempts over the years, to try to maintain servers and, even license them out to private parties to continue to operate them. My first game team was the live team for Ultima Online.
Okay.
That was one of the earliest MMOs out there, and for years, people wanted to keep playing that game,
Mhm.
right? And when I was at Sony Online, right, Star Wars Galaxy, we sunsetted some Star Wars Galaxies, which was, arguably one of the more polarizing MMOs of all time. Um, and I'm a Star Wars guy, so I love the IP.
Yeah.
But it just came to a point where it needed to be over, and what we chose to do was really try to celebrate that, and and then it was done. And it's true, you
Sure.
can't go and find a disc and load it up
Mhm.
and play it at this point. But I'm not sure exactly how to change that, unfortunately. And
It's
as a lot of these games start to become more reliant on servers and um, you know
yeah.
the ability to connect people in a multiplayer way,
Mhm.
right? A
Yes.
lot of that
Yes.
playability starts to go in a different direction. I mean, back when they were just single player games, you just put it on a disc and
Yep.
you keep the disc forever. I've got any number of discs floating around here now that potentially I could throw into my PC and run.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's a hard situation. I have heard of some really passionate fan communities reverse engineering the server software
mhm.
for some of these MMOs and getting to the point where you can technically play them again.
Hmm.
even though the experience isn't quite the same. So it's very interesting. I hope a solution that's half decent arises eventually. Um, but that's interesting stuff. Another question. So, and this is about kind of the Tiger Woods PGA Tour series, right?
Hmm.
You were on that series and shipped several titles for it.
Yep.
And that's a very very impactful series that a lot of people loved. Um, uh, what was it like? So when you release a series of games and you do so pretty much yearly, um, uh, some series start to seem a little bit familiar,
Yep.
right? And so you've got the challenge of how can we make this most recent entry feel like more than just a roster update?
Yep.
How creatively did you kind of challenge your teams and get past that challenge
Yep.
to keep it kind of introducing new stuff,
Sure.
moving the genre forward?
Sure. Well, I think the main thing that we did every year was we tried to, pick an anchor for what we wanted to be in the following year. And,
Okay.
sure, in a sports, sports titles are a little bit different than action titles, than shooters, etc. But the formula is still right. There's environments. You can add new environments. There's
Yep.
there's characters. You can add more
Yeah.
characters, and then there's gameplay, right? And while certainly our goal every year was to introduce more raw content, we
Hmm.
always wanted to push the envelope on gameplay. And if you
Sure.
look back at the evolution of those titles over the years, we tried a variety of things. Some were better than others. We were early on in innovating around uh, what we call game face, which was being able to custom create your character,
Yeah.
right? Which we had a ton of fun with. It was a lot of fun, and we tried to do the same thing where create your own environments.
Okay.
We did a lot with sort of arcade modes and other things that we try to add in every year. But in our specific situation, the core was always, it's a simulation of the game of golf, and you wanted to be able to play that against your friends, right? And the main
Yeah.
thing was that it was about competition,
Hmm.
which is different than a simulation, right? Early on, there were plenty of golf simulation products
Sure.
that were really more purist around trying to simulate the game of golf. And the Tiger Woods franchise was never about just the game of golf. It was about trying to be an entertaining experience. And I think we had some success and had a great time doing it.
Excellent. Fantastic. Thank you. Um, we'll move on. We'll do one more question, and then we'll look to a Twitch question. Actually, you know what? We've got some Twitch questions here. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of these. So this is actually a very pertinent question for our
Mhm.
current year. Um, do you feel that COVID is going to affect the game industry long term, and in what ways? This is from Raider Matt.
Mhm.
Um, he says, looking mostly at convention style events for announcements, studios allowing more remote workers, and the cloudiness surrounding the
Mhm.
new console launches.
Mhm. Well, I think that the the situation is, for me personally, I think going to be more of a blip than have a long term impact. When you think about the games industry, the console. I mean, there's different parts to it, right? There's the console part, there's the PC part, and there's the mobile part.
Yeah.
The console business is going to continue to be driven by the hardware companies, and Sony and Microsoft are both in it for, at least
Hmm.
for another cycle.
Yeah.
And having had the fun of launching launch titles, I can tell you that their lineups are already, they're fully baked. You would have seen them at E3 this year.
Okay.
uh, you know and so I think the console space is going to continue to thrive. um, the conventions, the E3s and the GDCs of the world, they're I think maybe not as impactful as people might think on the games that are coming out. There's no doubt that there's a huge matchmaking component to those events where you have publishers talking to developers, and they're trying to figure out who's gonna sign the rights to do what. But those things happen, because everyone's always looking for more content, right? I mean, the content wheel never stops. So publishers are looking for new content, developers are building content looking for publishers. That's not going to change. I think that the situation and how it's created this virtual workplace is also not going to have a huge impact. I mean, there were already a lot of teams that were working highly virtually to develop games. There's really no substitute for having a whole team coexisting in a space. But there are ways to get products done in a virtual space. And I mean, look, we're on Discord. You've got any number of different ways to get teams together now, and so the technology exists to enable that. Are games going to come out maybe quite as efficiently or quite as quickly? Perhaps not, but the good ideas are still going to bubble up.
Yes.
And this industry, I think, is not going to see the same impact some others when it comes to productivity and the long-term effects on the industry.
Yep, our digital industry. It's okay. One of my I do love the idea of remote work, or at least having the option going forward, even if we do go back to working in person. One of my dreams, my personal dreams, is to see some AAA developers up in the tip-top north of the UP of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, rural communities, still contributing to worldwide impactful products. That'd be so cool. But thank you. Yeah, let's hope so. We've got another question from Da Vinci, and this is a pretty fun one, I think. So you worked on all these super impactful MMOs, and yet there was another MMO that you didn't necessarily work on. In fact, it might have been your rival, World of Warcraft.
You bet.
So they dominated in the 2000s, and they just had their classic launch, if I recall, and that did pretty well too. So what is your analysis? What is your take on WoW and how they've managed this longevity?
Right. Well, it's a good game. I mean, it starts with, it's a great game, and the audience also got very big.
Yes.
Right. And there's empirical evidence that no matter how big you get, eventually you start to decay. Right. So it helps to get really big, because that just gives you a longer off ramp over time.
Yes, and a bit of network effect, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, the folks at Blizzard. I mean, I know a ton of the folks at Blizzard. I still work with many of their products, Hearthstone and others, and they're a very well run organization, and they've learned how to pump the profits of that game back into the game. I mean, a lot of times games, like any number of competitors to WoW, started, they have found success, and then then they were bundled into a portfolio where other new ideas were taking the money away. They were taking the profits from one game to try to find the next big hit.
Sure.
And in doing so, they just accelerated the decay of their product. So, I think, is WoW going to be around forever? I don't know. Is the IP going to be around? Is it going to have a special place in the gaming, in the history of gaming? Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, the real question is, invariably at some point, a company like Blizzard is going to have to decide, how much they want to continue to invest. And in the end, games are a business,
Yes.
and everyone on the line, just don't ever lose sight of the fact that games are a business, and the these large, uh, these large franchises at the end of the day support huge teams that
Mhm.
create cost. And
Yeah.
at some point, if if the number of people playing your game starts to decay, there's just this, it's an inevitable situation where teams, I've seen it myself, right? Live teams that start at 100 people eventually go start to shrink down to where you've got like two people that are basically just keeping the servers up,
Yeah.
right? No new content or anything. And I think, to me, that's not a sad scenario. I think, if the game was good and it had a good run, then there is a point where you just need to kind of let it go.
Yes.
And there's always going to be this small group of just die hard, super hardcore people who are going to be disappointed. But that unfortunately can't be a
Mhm.
business driver when you're talking about supporting a game over the
Yeah.
long term. So
Yeah.
uh,
It's
how's WoW managed to maintain its position? Well, number one, they produced a good game.
yep.
Number two, and by the way, good game when it comes to WoW is a lot of things, but one of the things that they did really well was the entry level experience,
Mm.
right? I mean, it's it in the MMO world, the ability to bring new players in before they get frustrated and quit
Sure.
is very important. And a lot of games sacrificed sort of hardcore gameplay that was designed for upper level players,
Yep.
and basically, the new player experience, wasn't that fun. And so you had to
Mhm.
grind and get through. And that is one of the big challenges of those types of leveled games,
Mhm.
that at some point, and we all, we've all been through it, right? It's very hard for a entry level person to play and have fun with a high
Yeah.
level
Yes.
person. And that balance is a big challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things you said was very interesting to me. It's such a complex situation, and as a player, uh, it's very interesting to remember when you play that hey, this big series that has all these players, that has like 5 iterations and sequels, like this series is funding a lot of new initiatives and a lot
Mhm.
of innovation,
Mhm.
right? So it's I think a lot of players may say, oh, why do we have 20 Zeldas? Why do we have 20 Mario's? And those series bring in a lot of resources that then go to innovation. So it's really really cool.
Absolutely.
Um, Another question here. And this talks about the AAA space and what's kind of happened to it over time. Which perfect question for you. So AAA games have been getting more expensive to produce, right? The
Yep.
teams have been getting so much bigger throughout your career,
Mhm.
and some have said that this is starting to cause risk aversion in the
Mhm.
AAA space. You
Mhm.
can't afford to do anything too crazy,
Yep.
too off the wall. What are your opinions on this, and how sustainable do you think AAA development is over
Yep.
the next decade or two?
It's definitely an interesting topic. I think if you're within the games industry, a lot of times we use the analogy of the movie industry, and how they deal with sort of big blockbusters, and the fact that many of those nowadays are sequels, or are spin-offs. And then you've got sort of the indie crowd that's off doing the more creative, higher
Yes.
risk development. I think the games industry is really not that different from
Mhm.
that. Um, I when I was at EA, we had any number of initiatives to try and develop original IPs that could find success. And I worked alongside the guys that did Dead Space, and that's one of the games that if you look, at least during the time that I was at EA, is one of the more successful, critically successful original intellectual properties that was created. And despite the fact that commercially it had, some would say it had mixed success, but large organizations are not built well to germinate new ideas. And that spans all variety of industries, right? I mean, once you're big, your focus is on different things than coming up with the next cool, fresh idea, unfortunately. And so what happens, and really, if you look at Activision, you look at EA, you look at all these companies, a lot of their histories are built on acquisitions of companies that they identified, maybe decided to publish a title and found success with, and then brought in-house and assimilated into their collective, if you will. And everyone always has sort of mixed opinions about, is that good, is that bad, is it fair? But it's kind of a natural evolution. And so do the big businesses like the Activisions and the Ubis and the EAs, if they're playing in, they're playing in a certain part of the industry, which I don't personally like the term AAA, because I think it minimizes the quality that is out there. But they are they're working on titles that are going to do $1 billion. I mean, literally, right? I mean, you're talking about a title, a Madden title that's going to sell 15 million copies at $60 a pop, right? I mean, you in the first week. I mean, you're talking about massive numbers, and so the investment into that, is justified. And the other thing is that they've got all sorts of models and understandings of the market that allow them to assume that investment and feel like it's the risk is appropriate for what they're trying to do. The indie crowd that is developing new ideas, and I think just needs to be able to have a platform to demonstrate what they're trying to do. And that's where a lot of the new crazy little ideas are going to come around. Now, I think the big question is how many of the indie sort of smaller budget titles are even need to become blockbusters. Right. Because there's absolutely a market for for indie games. And and I would say, in fact, that the gamer audience today is probably has a pretty solid appetite for sort of lighter, more compelling experiences, and more of them, as opposed to, I mean, everyone's waiting for the next Star Wars movie or the next Marvel movie, but in between, you're not just replaying the last one.
Absolutely.
And so, back to your question, are those titles that are going to come in between the big blockbusters going to actually come through the big studios? History says probably not. But there's so much creativity out there, that there's still this endless supply of new content, and and it's exciting, right? It's exciting for every crazy idea. Every so often, there's a Rocket League that that turns out to just be fun. And that's great.
It is a really, really good time to be a player.
Yeah.
And it is also very interesting to wonder, why couldn't a Minecraft have popped up among an EA Studios team in their spare
Mhm.
time, or a Ubisoft team? So it's a very, very interesting question. And I know one of the things that we push in the IGDA Ann Arbor community among our indie devs is just finding ways to lower your costs and be as efficient as possible.
Mhm.
We don't need to hit it big. If we can get a few thousand customers, if we can get 10,000 customers, whew, that is great, right? And then we
Well,
can
and
sequel it.
it used to be that the focus on new products, right? And I'm talking now, 10,
Mhm.
certainly pre-mobile, right?
Yeah.
Um, the focus on products was getting people to buy your product,
Hmm.
right? Which meant that
Yes.
you had to convince them to spend $30 or $50 or
Yep.
whatever, right? Now that problem is no longer the case, right? Everyone plays the first iteration of most games for free.
Yep.
So, so there's no shortage of platforms to get your product out in front of an audience. And, the hard part is getting them to keep playing.
Yes.
Right? Because most gamers are completely happy to sample like a buffet style line of I'm going to try all these games. It doesn't cost me anything but my time,
Yes.
and I'll wait till I find something that I like,
Yes.
which introduces an interesting, again, challenge back to the development community and to the publisher community of like, again, when you talk about risk aversion, right? A publisher isn't going to be willing to take 100 bets, just to see one pay off. But a platform, right, like a Steam or something, might
Mhm.
be willing to say, hey, just use our platform, and if your product takes off, that's great. So um, it's an interesting time for
It
sure.
is absolutely a very fun, interesting time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to our next question. I only have two more ones from us.
Okay,
So we'll knock those out, and then we'll get to the Twitch questions.
great.
So you are right now in San Diego, Southern California, essentially the hot spot of the world
Mm-hmm.
for game development. It's super, super cool place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's not the only hot spot of game development. You've
Mm-hmm.
also got places like Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And then even in the American Midwest, you have some places. You've got places
Mm-hmm.
like Madison, Wisconsin,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
which has a few studios and a really great indie scene.
Yep.
And so, in your experience,
Mm-hmm.
with all the recruiting you've done and the traveling
Yep.
you've done, the studios you've been with, how does what makes a great area for game dev?
Right. Well, I guess I'll answer this completely honestly, and it might not
Sure.
be the answer that people want to hear. But, I think the games industry, the hotbeds of development tend to be the places where people can fail and move on and not have to move,
Okay.
right? And so, yeah, if you look in the US, Seattle, the San Francisco Bay Area, LA,
Yeah.
Austin, maybe Boston. And then there's a few smaller ones, maybe down in Orlando, down in Florida. There's some,
Sure.
some
Yep.
pockets. Madison, I've been up there. That's a great little environment. But I think the challenge with the game development sector is that project unless you're with a large developer, right, or publisher like an EA or whatever. If you're in the small developer space, then a concentration of studios is kind
Yeah.
of important because, and I can tell you, a perfect example is San Diego. 10 years ago, San Diego had a pretty vibrant game development community, and over the years, it's kind of waned a bit.
Interesting.
Sony. PlayStation Studios, still does some work here. Sony Online, is still around in the form of Daybreak Games, but is much smaller than it was.
Sure.
A lot of folks who worked at those companies have left the San Diego area and moved to Seattle, moved to San Francisco, moved to LA. So I think one of the things that makes a sustainable game development community is that variety of developers and the
Yes.
ability for people to fail. And
Yep.
if you're in a place where you've got one shot, and if you fail, you got to move,
Ooh.
then that becomes hard. And Austin, is a nice little town, and
Yep.
it's got a pretty vibrant game development community. A
Hmm.
lot of small developers in Austin,
Yep.
um, but again, there is a whole bunch of them, and that means that you know everyone's on a different timeline, and you're getting development projects, you're releasing them, you're getting publishing deals, and there's enough of a community down there that if one thing goes sideways, that there's a
Yeah.
safety net for people.
Yep.
And
Makes a lot of sense.
and so that to me is a reality of the game development
Hmm.
sort of community and ecosystem, is that the reason you have those pockets
Sure.
is because you know when you're talking about smaller development, you need to have a vibrant community. Otherwise, it just doesn't. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, like you don't want to get laid off and have to uproot your family, right?
Yeah.
That's no good at all. It's one of the reasons our community is so focused on getting a few more medium-sized studios, right, with some successful products, bringing some revenue in.
Mhm.
Currently, this area has a lot of very tiny studios, most of which probably don't make a whole lot of money, and we have
Mhm.
also Stardock in
Mhm.
Plymouth, which does very well and has for a long time. So we need
Mhm.
to get some more of those medium-sized studios going. We're
Mhm.
going to work on that. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. It's good to hear from you. Um, and the final question from us, you've had a prolific career in game development. And so I got to know, what is your fondest memory over that time?
Right.
And then if you want to share it, what was your most challenging memory from that
Right.
time?
Well, fondest is always kind of a loaded thing. I'll tell you that, when people ask me, like, pick a memory that pops into your head, like,
Sure.
quickly, the memory that I have was, and I'm dating myself for sure here, but the Tiger Woods franchise first was the first team to demo a live multiplayer session on the PlayStation 2,
Ooh, all right.
and we actually did a live feed from LA at E3 playing Tiger Woods golf between a player in LA and Tiger Woods himself in Orlando.
Wow.
And the nerves that all of us were under at the time, to you know hoping that it wouldn't fail,
Yes.
were absolutely just incredible. And ultimately, it went off, and it was a great success. And we were one of the early teams that were doing sort of that online multiplayer. Um, and then, I mean, the other side of it. I mean, there are any number of disappointments along the way that you have when you've been in this industry long enough. I think the biggest disappointments, though, and I won't call out specifics, are
Sure.
when I was truly surprised, like, and this is something that I try to sort of encourage folks who are building games, is like, something things will go well, things will go poorly, but
Sure.
the ones that really sting are the ones where you really thought you nailed it, and then it just didn't pan out. Because a lot of times, when something doesn't pan out, your gut already was telling you, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to work, but maybe not.
Hmm.
But there have definitely been times when I've been involved, with projects where we just thought we had it figured out, and then it got out there and it just didn't go the way we thought. And
Yeah.
that's when you have to kind of look at yourself and go, what did I miss?
Yep.
Right? I missed something, and that's um, you know, to me, that's the surprise, right? The
Yes.
surprise is the one that really gets you. Like, I've certainly been party to flops, but you kind of knew it was going to flop.
Sure.
And so you're like, well, for one reason or another, we got to put it out there and we're hoping for the best. And then it doesn't work out. And you're kind of like, yeah, I kind of figured.
Yeah.
But it's when you put something out there and you really just think, we've got this. And then it just,
Yep.
bam. And it's like, so, I've had a few of those. And those are the ones that sting the most.
Yep.
The ones where I was like, just didn't see it coming.
Well,
And
there
to me,
are.
that's the toughest. That's when I'm like, what? I missed something, and
Yeah, and then you think there are countless games out there that are just spectacular. Have fans that just love those experiences, but they just didn't sell well.
yeah,
That's a common feeling, I think.
yep, absolutely.
Um, but oh, that's fantastic. On the topic of the Tiger Woods demo, I feel like these days that kind of high risk demonstration would be recorded
Yeah,
and
exactly,
played back.
exactly.
That's that's exciting. I'm glad that went well for you. But that's essentially all the questions I have. It's taken us to about 8 o'clock. We'll go a little bit longer because I want the Twitch chat to get a few questions in as well. Twitch, this is your time to shine. If you've got any more questions you want to ask, you can do so now. We'll take one or two.
Mm,
Otherwise, while Twitch chat writes this, I have a question I always have to ask.
yeah.
What are you playing these days? What are you enjoying?
Oh my goodness. Right now, I would say I'm not playing much. I'm playing
Okay.
a lot of online poker.
Okay. Hey, classic.
So, in terms of getting that fix, um, I'm playing online poker. I'm playing the free version. I'm not. I'm by no means trying to put my money on the line, but
Sure. Sure.
um, I have a strong belief, and it's evident through sort of my career that at our core as game developers, we have to believe that interactive entertainment is kind of more compelling than linear entertainment.
Sure.
And with interactive entertainment, multiplayer is more interesting than single player
Okay.
because there's that unpredictable component, right? And look,
Sure.
I've back in the day, if you go back, quite a bit when multiplayer was less of a thing,
Mhm.
single player, we used to have
Yes.
teams of what we called AI engineers who are trying to,
Yes. Yes.
figure out how to challenge you and do all these things. And there's just no substitute for putting four live
Yep.
humans into a game and just seeing what happens.
Yep, that's right. In my course, we often say, if a team comes up, a student comes up and says, "Oh, we're going to have this game with a really interesting AI in it, and the enemies are going to be really dynamic. They're going to force you to do these interesting, unique things." I say, "Well, okay, but why not consider multiplayer? It's the best kind of AI, right? It's human."
Exactly. It's
So,
not A, it's just I.
yeah, that's right. That's right. That's great. Poker is awesome. It's a classic. I just finished. Speaking of linear games, single player games, I just finished Final Fantasy X, which
Oh
is
yeah.
that is a series that consumes so much time. I
Mhm.
can't keep playing as the semester gets started,
Yeah,
but we'll have to see.
absolutely. Absolutely.
It looks like we've got one final question for
Okay.
from Twitch chat, and then that's it. Do you have any unusual tips when it comes to getting feedback from an audience besides having them play test the game?
Well, I mean, I don't know whether it's a tip, but I will say that early on, when we were starting to do online games, the dev team would go on and they would play, and they would actually talk to players. So I
Oh,
mean,
cool.
as opposed to just getting feedback, like what we would do is we'd go play against someone anonymously, and then at the end we would say, "Oh, by the way, I'm a member of the dev team, and what do you think?" And you
Yes.
get all, and then there's no limit to the amount of just raw feedback that you get, you
Yes.
know, from that. So, I don't know if that answers the question, but there's one thing to do play testing and all this other stuff, but today, there's definitely the ability to go out there and kind of anonymously play against people, and then go, so hey, I'm actually on the team that develops this thing. What would you do differently, right?
Yeah. No, that
Uh,
sounds like so much fun.
yeah. Oh, it was. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And you know what? As game players, if you ever got a chance to talk to the developer of a game that were passionate about,
Yeah.
you would talk forever,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely. If
So, yeah,
I recall some MMOs gave special equipment and like special icons to dev team members as well. So
right,
sometimes they would show up and a big crowd would chase them down, and it
yeah,
was always very funny to see as a player.
absolutely.
All right, I think that is about it. John, thank you so much for your for giving back to the community, for sharing your experience and your knowledge and stories with us. I know it's very inspiring to me, to the community as well. I want to go out and keep working on my game right now, but we have to
Great.
finish up the second half of our event here. But otherwise, thank you so much again. We'll stay in touch.
Absolutely.
And please stick around for the second half if you want to. Otherwise, enjoy your spectacular San Diego weather, okay?
All right. Thanks, Austin. Really appreciate it. Everybody, good luck. Keep up the good work, and I'll check in on you once in a while.
All right. Thank you, John. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye now.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to move on to the second half of our event. However, we're going to take about 5 minutes. Okay, I'll put it on the stopwatch. 5 minutes, during which time I'm going to collect the show and tellers, and we'll be back with some very cool 7 unique community projects. Okay, so we'll see you in about 5. Let's get some Donkey Kong Country music going, Corbin/Owen. And we can switch the video back to the wallpaper thing. And we'll see you, everyone, in just a little bit. Okay, Corbin/Owen, can you move us over and show our video, please?
Wait, hold on. Okay.
Okay, I believe we are back. All right. My apologies, everyone.
It's not letting me to show video for some reason.
What does it say?
So it's they have
Oh,
video. Yeah.
yes. Corbin needs to give you permission.
Okay. Oh, nice. All right. Screen share. Nice. Cool. I got those.
Excellent. Okay. So I believe. Can everyone see our face? Chat. Can you see us? Can you hear us?
Hello.
All right. And Corbin, are you here as well? Hello, back. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. My apologies for the wait, everyone. Had some interesting technical difficulties. I believe they are gone now. So let's go ahead and get started. We've got Josh Verhoef, and you are going to show us a project called Metal Star, an industrial 2.5D platformer post-mortem. Yeah?
Yep.
Josh, do you have a link to the game you'd like to throw in the Twitch chat really quickly so that
I
everyone
do.
can see this
do.
game we're post-morteming?
I do absolutely. Let me just pull it up real quick. This is the version I won't be showing you, but you guys can play if you wish. Let
Okay,
me throw it in there. There you go.
excellent.
You can also play the
So-
other games I worked on too.
Excellent. So we're going to give you 5 minutes, and so you understand where we're at, I'm going to give you a 60-second warning, okay? And then we'll
Awesome.
have 5 minutes of Q&A. So chat, please put your questions into the chat during this presentation, okay? All right, Josh, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, my name is Josh. I've been to these meetups for a while now. It's 2 more months and it would be the 1-year anniversary. So I actually want to show you guys something, and that is Project Metal Star. It is a 2.5D industrial survivor platformer. Wait, hold on, did it disconnect? Oh, it's good. Okay. It is a survival platformer in which the player has to survive on the stage for around like 5 minutes on a road, and the stage rotates, of course. So this was done for a game jam for Game Dev TV. It was during May of 2020 during quarantine. We completed 2 playable levels, 5 music tracks, and over 100 sound effects, which is very unnecessary, and around a dozen 3D models due to like the 2.5D aesthetic. So there was a lot that went wrong, and one of the biggest things was that it was missing a lot of conventional modern conventions for platformers. This include like no coyote time nor jump buffering. It used the wrong collider type. Usually for platformers with like critical jumps, it's really wise to use box colliders, not circle colliders. And then there's just no air control at all. And not only that, just the rotating stage mechanic wasn't even that fun. It was completely random. So it was really hard for the player to read like where am I supposed to go, when will the platform rotate again, and that just kind of harkens it's just a lot of waiting, and the player got stuck. And in general, it's just very unpolished. It was very buggy, not much collision because the rotation of the stage was very dynamic. And then the music tracks were supposed to be dynamic, but they were implemented pretty poorly. However, after the jam, I did not give up. I wanted to make sure that I revised it, and this included adding a lot of features from other 2D platformers like Celeste and Fez were definitely big inspirations. Adding a lot more abilities for the player, which I did want to implement during the jam, but I couldn't. And just in general, rethinking the level design and the rotating stage mechanic, and having more like static rotation, kind of like in Stone Tower Temple from Majora's Mask, where you just flip the switch and then the stage rotates. So I was thinking that instead of it rotating dynamically, the player will go to a space, rotate it, and then level design changes. And just in general, I did a lot of research to make sure I get this right the second time.
60 seconds.
All right, perfect. I'm gonna show you the new movement real quick that I've been working on. Are you seeing that? Awesome. So I'm just gonna watch it through the editor because it takes less time. So already, if you guys can play the demo if you want, there's a lot more air control. There's a new mechanic called the wall position switch where you can just press the input when you're hogging a wall, just go on the other side. Grappling hooks in. There's a parachute, and then there is a mechanic called your metal wings, which if you just press S or down on the control stick, you just do like a bunch of short hops, and then if you charge it, you can actually do this mega jump. And then there are particular walls down here. It says sliding down, you slide up, or if you go here, you just stick to the wall. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys can play the original version, but I might post this movement test. I haven't really worked on it since earlier this month. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you. So, chat, what questions do you have? And we'll start. Got 5 minutes now. I'll go ahead and start. You in your presentation, you mentioned, oh, the game didn't seem super polished. I'm looking at these screenshots, and I really like this style. You've got this kind of 8-bit character, however, and you've got this 3D background with kind of like super early PlayStation aesthetics and stuff like that. 3D. How did you come to choose that? Background is 3D, foreground is 2D. However, they both have the same visual style.
So I was during quarantine. I was very bored. And I was like, okay, I actually want to dig through my closet and play some games. So I found my original copy is Xenogears for the PS1, which is my favorite JRPG of all time. And I played through it all quarantine, loved it, and I was like, okay, I want to replicate this to some extent. So I was like, okay, the 2.5D graphics is just the way to go.
Okay.
And that game is 2.5D.
Gotcha. So we've got some questions. Nice. Looks like you've had a lot of upgrades. That's really cool. From Geocastle, how long are you intending to work on this project moving forward?
So currently it's on hiatus. I haven't really worked on it much. I'm just trying to like fight the burnout. So I've been working on a different project, which that one's more like a Zelda one. Maybe I'll show that one off in the near future. But yeah, this project's currently on hiatus. But if anyone wants to help, like just let me know.
Okay. And then from Robot Adventure, what was one tricky and interesting obstacle you overcame in implementing these new mechanics?
Definitely just figuring out like how the stage is gonna rotate, because like that's a vital part of the mechanics. And with all these new movements like the grappling hook where you're just stuck to a wall, like you can't really have like the stage constantly rotate because that's gonna mess with the collision.
Yeah,
So just rethinking like that core stage mechanics really got me, and especially like if it was still dynamically rotating, the wall position switching and all those other mechanics wouldn't be possible in this version of the game. So yeah.
sure. I got a question. And you don't have to share these numbers.
That's fine.
Some people have said that discoverability is getting harder and harder on itch.io. You posted your game on itch.io, and I assume without a whole lot of marketing, because just a game jam game, you don't need to hit it out of the park. What kind of install numbers have you gotten so far?
Yeah, I can double check real quick. So oh yeah, here's analytics. So at its peak, so okay, so in total 17 downloads.
Okay, that's not bad for a game jam game with
Yeah.
no marketing budget.
Mhm. But yeah,
Cool. All right, Twitch chat. I think that's just about it. Josh, thank you so much for sharing.
no problem. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Okay, so next up, everyone, we have Oil Leak Games, represented by Jordan Edgelauni. So let's get Jordan in here. Live meeting. And Rochelle Viola as well. Let me get her in here too. So in the live meeting. All right, welcome Jordan and Rochelle. You have 5 minutes. Are you ready to start the live streaming?
One sec. Just gotta get Discord to see
Yeah.
the screen share.
Yep. Owen, can you share give them video permissions, please? So that they can share their camera if they want to.
All right.
The church.
Is audio coming through?
Yep, we can hear it.
Okay, cool. So hey everyone, my name's Jordan Ishloni. This is my founding partner, Rachel Viola,
Hi.
and we are Oily Games. We are a new startup game studio here in Michigan. We had a larger project that we're jamming away on, but we were honored to be a part of the locally sourced summer bundle, which we'll link in chat after this. And it's a bundle for Michigan devs to post little games that they make specifically for the bundle, and it just promotes exposure for everyone involved, and you get to make a cool little project and share it with all your friends. And so we're like, hell yeah, that sounds great. And so we made a quick game jam game, and then took 2 weeks after that to just polish it up a little bit to release as part of the bundle. And we came up with the Church of Jesus Crisp, an all-you-can-pray buffet. Also, no. Okay, there we go. Really quick, I want to shout out our audio guy Corey Chappell, who isn't here today, but I hope you're all jamming out to this sick beat. As Taylor would say.
This is a legit. I like these screen transitions. Very luxurious.
Thank you. It was what I came up with without wanting to make a full-blown menu system. So, Church of Cheese Crisp is a love letter to both food and WarioWare. The idea is you are a preacher at a church for food people, and the parishioners come in and want to hear the good gospel of Jesus Crisp, and so you have to tell them one of the tales from the good book, and all the tales are in form of goofy little food themed mini games. They're all like about 6 seconds or less, and you're just going for high score. Try to beat as many as you can. We got 6 games that we cycle through, and you just go for a high score until you run out of lives. See, sin prevails. I failed the pizza game. We knew we weren't really making a giant game, so we wanted to really polish up what we had here. We wanted to have like a nice, good presentation. It is our first official release as Oily Games, and so we wanted to just make sure there are no rough edges, even though it is a small, concise little game. And we just really...
This is the hardest one.
There's a trick. I'm not going to ruin it. Once you know the trick, it's the easiest one. But yeah, this is our first official release as Oily Games, so we're super excited. Also, shout out to Locally Sourced if you don't follow them on Twitter. It's run by Michael Clamorous, I believe.
Yes.
And he's trying to box out a nice space online, an online presence for Michigan developers, and he does a great job. He does an absolutely great job, like building just a community for Michigan developers. And we got to be a part of this bundle. If you're interested in being part of the bundle, reach out to him. He's taking submissions he's lining up teams for the fall bundle. You make, it's not a lot of dough, but you make a little bit of money and get to share your sweet games, and it's overall just a great experience.
Yes. A shout out to Michael. He does a tremendous impact for our indie developers. Thank you for your efforts.
And so, yeah, like I said, it's a fun little game, something to just play a couple times here or there, go for a high score, and
okay,
we're really
60 seconds.
Also, Rachel, you did an amazing job with all the art. We got to the idea because Rachel's like, I want to draw food. And I was like, okay. She's like, no, I want to draw food people. And I was like, do it. And I just want to say, Rachel, you knocked it out of the park.
Hell yeah. Thanks.
But yeah, I guess we can.
All right. Questions?
Early.
Okay, 30 seconds early. Questions, Twitch chat. What do you have? And while they type up their questions, I have one. And I'm sorry if I missed this. How long did you? How much dev time did you put into this?
Yeah, we did a weekend's worth of game jam, and then about 2 weeks of like quarter time work on my part. maybe scattered hours just to really polish up the rest. So really
Awesome.
not a lot of time. I was really happy with how far we got in the amount of time we had. We were originally supposed to have one less week, but the bundle got pushed back, and so we're like, I guess I make cool menu transitions. But yeah.
Okay, while we wait for... Oh, go ahead.
So I
go ahead.
posted the summer bundle link in the chat. Please check it out. It's $7 for 7 awesome games, both video game and tabletop RPG. All Michigan developers, all small indie developers, and all part of this the larger Michigan community. So please check it out. I want you to check it out for more than just putting $1 or $2 in our pockets.
Yeah, it's a great bundle. Lots of great games in there. So it looks like we don't have any questions yet. I've got another. So this art is super, super cool, and the concept and gameplay is great as well. It is the kind of thing I could see going viral. And I also love numbers. You don't have to give these to me, but I'm curious, how many installs, how many downloads thus far with the game being released?
Ooh, I'm trying to see where to see that on. I have the page open on itch right now. Analytics. Maybe that would help. We are at 99 views.
Awesome. Okay.
25 downloads.
Okay.
Yeah. Or no, wait. It's kind of hard to tell because I don't know if itch fully handles the difference between a bundle and your specific game.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because the analytics is also telling me 314 views.
Ah.
So,
okay.
That's the bundle views too. So the bundle's getting pretty good exposure, and I would say that's, considering we had a small release with no real marketing budget, I'm very happy with how it's doing.
Okay. And I'll keep asking questions because we don't have any in chat yet. So you're a new startup, right? Oil League Games.
Yep.
Yes.
And you've got a product out, which is really great. So what is the path going forward? Because you need to, at some point, get something out there that is bringing in some recurring revenue. Are you going to reuse the technology from this game? Are you going to, what's the business plan moving forward?
Yeah, so our goal is to really make this a sustainable endeavor. We really want to make shorter games, faster, smaller games, and then just have more points at which we're getting revenue to hopefully go full time. Because right now the idea of this is part time, and we can do this much longer if we have real, paying jobs.
Money.
Yeah, money.
Absolutely.
Money to eat and shelter and all
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the business model. As far as the games we're kind of making, we've had. I will shout out. We are with Spark.
Awesome.
We're partnered with them.
Congrats.
They've been helping us out. They've been really great. And we've been working with some of their marketing people. And I forget the tagline exactly, but we're making small games with some reverence and edge. Is kind of where we found our brand. So. And our main game that we're working on right now, it's like a small physics puzzle adventure that's shooting for 2.5-3 hours. So really just, kind of that $5 small game market.
Awesome. I can't... Oh, so here's a question. I don't think... this is from Michael Clemers. I don't think it's really a question, but it seems like Rachel usually does 1-bit art.
Yes.
Were there any plans to do a 1-bit game?
That would be cool. I really like doing 1-bit. I think I'm a lot faster doing it 1-bit because it's only 2 colors. So maybe in the future, it'd be cool.
Awesome. Very cool. So I think that looks like it's just about it, and we've got only about 90 seconds for the questions. Awesome. Here's, I guess, one final question from me. Have you ever, so the need to become sustainable and earn some cash for these game productions, have you considered looking into things like Upwork or Freelancer, going on Craigslist and advertising stuff? Because I can see now that you have a WarioWare style game and some infrastructure set up for this kind of genre, you can imagine some brands wanting to maybe knock out a quick maybe a quick Wendy's WarioWare style game. That could be awesome, right?
I'm seeing a lot of companies use pixel art, but it's just like
Yes.
really bad pixel art. So maybe we could like sell this to like some other company that isn't specifically like about video games.
Like my startup, Arbor Interactive, like we sell video games to the government and research
That's cool.
groups and random YouTubers. And it works. Like people will pay to have their brand put into a game like this.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely open to it. We're not precious about it, like in any weird way. But it's just a matter of getting in contact with those people, and
That's definitely a tricky
Mhm.
part.
our focus is just this is already part time. We're just focusing on making our main title to like add more work on top of our like personal day-to-day work.
Sure.
And all this is just a little much, but we're absolutely open to pursuing any of that.
Okay, so that's 5 minutes.
Can I just say one thing?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Usually we want to say like what we're looking for from the
Yes.
audience.
Yes, go
Follow
ahead.
us. Follow us on Twitter. We're at Oil Leak Games. Follow Locally Sourced on Twitter. I think at Locally Sourced MI. I don't know offhand. I'll throw. I think Mike's here in the chat, so he'll throw up the links. Follow us. Like our posts. Comment helps the algorithm. Retweet. We really want to just build a hub for Michigan developers as a whole, and that exposure is like really the most valuable thing we can get right now. So.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We'll definitely follow those links in the chat, everyone. And Jordan, Rachel, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, take care. Okay, next up we have Jason Eaton. Let's go ahead and get you into the live meeting room here, Jason. All right, Jason, can you hear us? Thank you for the shout out, Mike. Yeah, that was about, what was the budget on that? I think that was around a 2K game. I think that was our budget for White Nose Syndrome. Okay, Jason, can you hear us?
I can. You hear me?
Fantastic. Yes, we can hear you.
Hey, Herbie.
Yes, if you want to show your video, we need to get you permission to do that. So, Corbin or Owen, can you please?
I got it already.
Oh, excellent. Fantastic. So you can show your camera if you want to. Otherwise, you can click the share your screen button at the bottom of the side panel there.
Screen.
And yes, if you want to show the screen, and you'll have 5 minutes to show us whatever you want, okay? Within reason.
Yeah, obviously. I don't got that kind of stuff, man. You know me.
Yes, yes. Okay.
All right, are we going
Okay.
here? Oh, okay.
3, 2, 1, go. Ooh,
All right.
ooh. Put that into the chat. If it's multiplayer, put it into the chat
Right. Yeah.
so we can all play.
Yes. Actually, this actually worked really well last time. So this is actually pretty much the same thing I showed last month, except I just made a few like polish changes. It actually has a win and loss condition.
Okay.
But if everyone just goes to room 0,
Room 0, everyone.
yeah, just room 0, then we'll all be in the same room. But and then I also fixed the problem where you have no idea which ship you are.
Okay.
Now you'll definitely know which one. It's actually pretty cool. But anyway, I don't really want to talk about this game that much because I really want to talk about the tech that I used to make this game, because this game is really the intent. It's already done. I mean, the intent of this little project was to make something I could give off to someone who wants to make a multiplayer game. And like, here, if you code the game like this, then I can work some magic on some back end, hackery, and it'll just work multiplayer without you having to worry about multiplayer at all.
Awesome.
So it's using a lockstep system. I already have some libraries built up for doing a lockstep game. And I also just created like a really simple, so it's very much like the Good Game Peace Out engine, only like expanded to like 60 players. This one's 32 players. Here, I'll do ready too, just get everyone in there.
Okay.
I got 5 people.
All right.
But yeah,
oh, I'm dead.
Yep, you die in this game. Oh, we might. Oh, no.
Oh, no respawn.
I got a lag spike right there. But anyway, so I mean, what I really like to have is like a site that's kind of like itch.io or Congregate, where it's all multiplayer games. Like you upload a game, it's going to be multiplayer. It's going to use the same back-end server
Yeah.
for absolutely any kind of game, and all it's going to do is relay your input. And I'm not sure if I could like make it a startup or get some funding, or someone would think that might be
Well,
something worth investing in, that would actually.
Actually, yeah. Like the Ann Arbor Spark, the local incubator, would be very interested. I think, in particular, if you have a tech, the tech backend to really make it easy to make these kind of games and host them as well, right? So owning the libraries and the platform, be a
Yeah.
very interesting business case for Ann Arbor
Yeah,
Spark.
and like I have a brand name and everything. I was, my company name is actually RetroPros. I already have that
Yes.
retropros.net. I already
Nice.
own that URL. Like it's kind of like Heat, like my days of Heat.net. I wanted
Okay.
to just some kind of retro. I also got like a logo going on and everything. But like obviously getting that first, like I don't have time to make a game. I work full time. So I can design tons of games. Like I can actually write physics for simple 2D games. I can write animation systems for 2D games. Like if I work with someone, be like, here, you need to like help me write this game. Figure out all the tweaks, figure out all the like how fast does bullet go, how fast could you shoot. I just don't have time for that kind of stuff anymore. I do still like making the actual like collision engines and those kind of things, but like the time it takes to like that monkey game, like all the time I spent on it was just like tweaking values. That's where a lot of the time sink goes. Engines are easy to make. I just like spit them out. I'm like an expert at that at this point. But so I mean, I have tons of ideas. Like like maybe make a scorched earth game. It's like multiplayer.
Yeah.
Make a tunneler game. Make a Lero game. Just anything that's old school that was really popular, and just expand that. Like there was a game on the Apple IIe called Lunar Leapers. I was thinking you'd make celestial creepers and just like make it multiplayer. You just add 60 people playing the same game. To do anything, it's like it's old. It was really popular at the time, but then just expand it to like Like this is an interesting case right here where it's just Space Invaders, but you have like 30 people playing.
60 seconds.
Yeah. So I think that's most it. I can kind of go to questions.
Okay, questions early. All right.
Yeah.
So Twitch chat, if you have questions on this, please punch them in. While the Twitch chat does that, I've got one of my own. Have you played any Fall Guys, Jason?
Yes. My
So-
friend's been playing that.
I was just playing that a few hours ago.
Yeah.
The one of the most interesting things from a business perspective about that game is that it's really a fairly simple physics platformer.
Yeah.
And add a ton of people, right? Add that battle royale technology on, and then design some levels that kind of play to that, and boom, right? Add an
that's
aesthetic
exactly
system.
what I'm thinking. And then
Right.
also, I'm very passionate about making sure that like I played Bloodborne and I use the parry gun a lot. The moment you go to multiplayer, the lag kills it. Like I'm like, well, like the timing is so precise. You have to get it precisely, and then the lag is like, oh wow, I'm dead now. I'm playing with my friends. I was gonna do something really fancy, but now it's like the timing is a millisecond off. Now you're dead.
Yeah.
So like this is actually very well like you can actually play another version of it on my site that has a delay, and you can tell like this is like Unity. I think is stirring some stuff up. I actually want to switch to FNA or something that can like something that's more on an iPhone or just I want to dump Unity at this point. Like I think Unity has just gotten too much at this point. Like there's so much stuff going on. I think it's actually slowing down my algorithm a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. It looks like we don't have any questions quite yet, so I'll ask another. One of the things that if you look at Fall Guys,
yes,
like I think there could be a really cool business model where like you have the tech and libraries and backend. Like, hey, what if we wanted to take what if Oil Leak, which we just saw, wanted to take their game Church of Jesus Crisp, and just what does this look like if we have not one player doing the micro games, but like 20? Yeah, if you remember what was the Tetris 100 or Tetris 99, right? That Nintendo put out. You've got Tetris, and you just it's Battle Royale. You add that on, and suddenly it's super interesting, and it gets super big.
Exactly.
So my question is so what is your business model? What are your plans for this beyond I think you should also do the tech to add like an aesthetic catalog so that not only can you add on really easily Battle Royale and have the backend for that, but you can also sell stuff in the way that most Battle Royales do. Like, have you thought about that? And would you consider going to some of the the small indie devs around here to help them add something like this?
I mean, that'd be interesting. I'm really am mostly like a developer, so I just don't think business at all. Maybe I could have a partner who would help me out
Well,
with some of this.
Like that could be as simple as like, hey, I just need to get this technology into as many local devs as I can.
Right. I mean, the idea is like you can spit out a game as fast as you can do like a 48-hour game, or like some of those games are 48-hour games, or even games you make on like 494. Like
Yeah.
some of them do very well with multiplayer that you
Oh,
can
yeah.
just jump in and play.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
Time if you have a lot, and then also have libraries. So like I have like platformer physics going on that I just not in this right now. This is actually the simplest game you could possibly make, just to kind of illustrate how to go about doing it. So the only drawback is you actually have to code almost everything from scratch, and then you just kind of
Yes.
plug in but then you plug in the graphics. Like the graphics is a whole other piece that you just use whatever engine. Like you're only coding the state. That's it. And you don't need a lot of libraries for the state, except for maybe physics and animation, and that's
Sure.
all you need. And this is really
Sure.
simple physics, simple animation. You know, you could make some. One guy's there prevailing.
Yeah, absolutely. The hero keeping us in the game.
They all die, so you can see my fancy animation. But anyway.
Yeah, so we do have a Twitch chat question from Mike Clamorous. Did you have any other game ideas in mind for this platform in particular? He thinks this is really cool.
Like hundreds. Like I'm just teaming with them, and I can't get to like. So one of them I actually illustrate is like a 32-player tower defense, like a 2D tower defense, where you have a whole castle of 32 people shooting arrows.
Okay. Yes.
And they would just kind of look at like, and then I'd make a little effect where the arrows actually blot out the sun when they kind of fly and stuff to do cool stuff like that, and just make it super like gory and have lots of like animations and stuff.
Okay.
That would like, so before I couldn't really do it because I didn't have the engine down, but now I'm sort of looking at it like, yeah, that's actually doable if I had artists, and I'd have to program. That's the thing, is I have to program the.
No way.
You'd probably have to use the. Oh yeah.
That's
You'd
funny.
probably have to use what was it? Spine, and I'd have to code up like a Spine animation library, or they might have one in C#.
Yes.
But I'd have to make sure that it's deterministic, so I might have to code a version of it myself that's in C#.
Okay.
But like the physics would be really easy for that game. But like all of it would be tuning values and having animators. So that's just one. You could have Scorched Earth, you could have Celestial Creepers. I could just go on and on and on with game ideas that I think would be good. But I don't have time to get any of them.
Okay. Well, I think we're just about out of time. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay. Jason, thank you so much. I think, again, you're always creating this really, really cool technology. We just got to get this technology into more local games. I think we'd have better games. I think those games would have
do this,
be better on the market.
Do something with, like, if they have an idea for an actual marketable game, you know, give me a call, give me a, shoot me an email. We'll start as soon as that.
Can you throw your email address into the Twitch chat, please? Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jason. I'll send you out here.
Alrighty.
Okay, Corbin. Are you there? Do you want to present? Corbin Reeves and Azure Ravens are the next team up, showing off a game. However, is Corbin still in his business call? I think we will probably skip him. Okay, we'll skip him for now. We'll come back, hopefully at the very end, and we can show off his game project too. Next up, we have Austin Yarger, who's me, and I'm going to be showing you a Life's a Beach progress update. You saw this game last time, and I will show you some advancements that we have made in it. Let me get the game up and running real quickly here. Okay, we'll get there's the Windows build. So hopefully it's not too loud. I'm going to turn the thing down here. Chat, you're going to have to tell me if it's too loud, because I haven't programmed in ways to turn the music down. However, the music is excellent. Wuffle in Washington State did it, and she really did a spectacular job. So let me go ahead and launch the game real quick, and then I will turn it down, and then we will go. I will be honest and give myself only 5 minutes, and then I'll take Twitch chat questions, okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and live stream this. I'm going to share my screen. share, stop watching Jason's, and then I'm going to screen share. What am I going to screen share? I'm going to screen share. Is that it? Just a second, everyone. Screen share a window called BTD. There we go. Go live. Hey, there you go. I hope you can see it. So okay, we'll do it right now, and I'll throw up chat. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, 5 minutes. Hey, my name is Austin Yarker. I run Arbor Interactive, which is a small startup game studio here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We've been doing educational games mostly, and some visualizations and stuff like that. But now we're trying to make games that are our own original IP. We've teamed up with a lot of fantastic freelancers to do that, artists, musicians. And let me go ahead and log in here. Actually, I'm going to use the new feature. Hopefully you can see it, a Play as Guest button, which allows you to not have to give me your precious email address. You don't have to worry. You play as a guest. So we've got Life's a Beach here. It's a spicy name. I probably wouldn't have chosen, but hopefully it helps with marketing a little bit. It's kind of a fun name. Sam Olson did the artwork that you see in the game. You can click and follow his art station. Layla Wilson did a fantastic job on the music in this game. And then we'll have some voice acting in very soon. So this game is what have we added? We fixed some stuff. We have a new system by which you will choose your character and they'll always be in the bottom left corner. So we'll go to story. And the game knows that we need a character to do story, so it automatically sends us to our character select, where we have some characters here, and we have a ton of them, actually. It's very easy to add characters to this game, so we'll go ahead and get Sandy here. And we have cutscenes back into the game, so when you launch a character, if you've not yet seen their cutscene, they will shoot it. We've got these protagonists who are building cool sandcastles everywhere. However, that is attracting too much attention, and so that's a problem. And now they're going to have to deal with a little bit of a mob who has come to put their sandcastles back into the earth. So this is a mode that we're working on now. Progression used to be linear, right? You just go from stage to stage to stage. However, we wanted to have something more interesting. And so now you actually have to navigate this kind of grid, and each one is a different stage drawn from a random pool, sort of like Slay the Spire. And we'll have nodes that are will give you stuff, and nodes that are not about fighting but about story progression and stuff like that too. The problem right now, South Bay. Okay, is this an easy stage? I think this stage is fine. I think we can maybe clear this one.
Ready?
Okay, so we're going to go ahead, and we've got some UI changes. You can go ahead and grab some currency that we can build a tower with. We have a fast forward function, so holding shift makes the game go really fast. We can order our teammates, our allies that you collect around to guard certain areas. So Drift over here will guard this spawn point, because I don't think anyone's going to spawn at these two because of a glitch. So we're going to put a clam down here, and we'll go, and there we are. So the fighting begins. We've got a tower set up, and we've got some items up here we can grab to build more towers. Note that there are other items in the game now. It's not just sand dollars, which you use to build towers, but they're also crafting items. So there's driftwood, there is sushi, and you can also get trash as well. And you can get social media points, which are up here. I need to build another tower, though, because this is bad news. We can also see health bars. If you look closely, you can see that there are health bars that show up when a character takes damage, and that should help you understand that you're doing damage as well, and help you understand how powerful your towers are. They don't show up, however, if an enemy gets taken out in one hit. They just disappear. We'll go ahead and grab this stuff. There's tension in this game between keeping your hero character close enough to enemies to get the resources that pop out of them, versus wanting to take your hero character and get them away and behind safety. These geese are a big problem. They have a ton of health and they move fast. You can see their health bars, which I'm pretty happy with at this point. We can put down one of these. We are currently working on more towers that do more interesting stuff and unique enemies that can do more than just chase you around. At some point, we also want to introduce abilities so that on a cooldown, you can cast a slow spell at enemies that are coming in to give you more interesting stuff to do. If you are feeling particularly brave in this game, well, I guess not in this build, but you can skip rounds and have the next round automatically spawn. And so we're in big trouble here in a second because the main character of the game, the main villain, is going to spawn, and that's really bad for us because she is super fast and hits super hard and has a lot of HP. Fortunately, when a unit in this game takes damage, they get a debuff on them that causes them to run slower, so we can actually outpace this super boss here who's about to kill us in one hit if we can't get this to work. Oh boy, this is not good. Okay, that is 5 minutes. So Twitch chat, please post your questions into the, oh boy, into the, post your questions into there, and I'll answer them while I try and get you a victory screen here. Because you've said, I see this art is so good, I agree. And the victory screen art is really good as well. There we go, we got him. She spawns a ton of resources for us. And I believe that's it. We can sell towers, we don't want to though. So we'll go ahead and end.
You win.
You win, all right. And we got some victory art. Is Bear in the Big Blue House an unlockable character? It is not. And that's a reference to our last Game Jam game. We now have a new base area as well, where you can actually take these resources and you will eventually be able to upgrade their stats. So we can rank them up, and it'll tell us what the stats are. It'll tell us what resources we need. It's not finished yet, though, so that's why they're all the wrong icon. And when we leave here, we will go back to the graph, and we can choose which way we want to go now. So that's pretty much where the game is at. It is actually, it is online now. I'm not going to tell you where it is online, though, because it still has too many problems. But you will be able to play it very soon. Hopefully we'll fix a lot of bugs, and then over time, we want to add in new features, abilities, we want to add in new characters, we want to have exclusive characters for certain events. In this game, you can currently do, you can do a really kind of, it's not finished, but it's a gacha. So we'll go to shop, and you can go to open card pack, you can pay premium currency for that, and that'll get you new units and stuff like that, and new towers. Beyond random stage order, are you planning to have anything else be randomized? Yes, so currently in the game, what you get out of a card pack is randomized. And we want not only the random, like which stage you go to be random, but we also want like which narrative-oriented characters show up. We want that part to be random too. So maybe when you go through the story this time, you'll get a certain amount of lore, but when you go through the story the next time, you'll get another take on it from different characters that show up. And so that could be an interesting way for us to kind of continue getting value out of the game, even when you're playing like some of the same stages. You might get some new lore and stuff like that. So that can help with replayability. Another interesting thing, until I get another question, is that right now, the way we're doing it is you've got a certain amount of lives to get to this boss and defeat the boss, whoever it is, for that character in this episode. You actually carry over currency and crafting items to new stages, and you carry over lives and health too. The idea is that we want to allow people to kind of strategize over the course of many stages. Previously, you only ever cared about how things were going in the current stage. Now, what I want is that players are kind of thinking about strategies as they go through many stages. So long-term objectives versus short-term objectives, we want to have both in our game. So anyway, if we don't have any other questions, I'll probably get out of here. This is currently lacking art, which is why it looks rough, the stage select, but we will get to that eventually. And it should hopefully look more like the beautiful mode select we have here. Will the player get some info about the stages they can pick in the Slay the Spire style map? Yes, I think that eventually we will allow the player to be able to see what a node is before they go into it, so that they can make some choices about, okay, I can go to this stage or I can go to this stage, which one is the better choice for my current situation. 60 seconds remains. We'd really like to introduce that kind of strategy into the game. And that's something that we can do over time as well. So we can think of new node types. Personally, I really love the idea of a node type that is pretty much just exploring and just getting and stocking up on items and seeing some NPCs. Something that is more kind of adventure game style than just a battle where you're in an area and you just have to defend for a while. I think eventually we want to take this engine and technology, and we want to turn it into an adventure game. So we can do some of those games in RPGs as well. We think that could be really, really cool. So 3, 2, 1, that's it. Thank you very much, chat. So I will stop sharing my screen here. Stop streaming. There we go. Okay, next up, Corbin, are you here? Okay, we'll go to Corbin last, since I don't think he's here yet. Next up, we have Matthew Rader of Wolverine Soft, and he is talking about Bloom Tome of Power, one of their recent games that just released. Let me go ahead and I'll bring Matt into the waiting room. All right, Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah, yep.
All right. Do you have permission yet to show your video if you want to? I'm not sure if you do.
I'm not going to be sharing a webcam.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So you can click the screen button at the bottom to share your screen. You will have 5 minutes once you've done that. Yeah, you can show us whatever you'd like. Okay, you ready to go? Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Can you see the game?
Yep,
no.
we can see the game. Oh, I'll reset it for you. Okay, we can see the game. We can also hear the game too.
Let me pause Discord. Not Discord, the Twitch. Okay, yeah, so this is Bloom. This was made by Wolverine Soft Studio, a club associated with the University of Michigan. Student-led, and we just make games. The latest release, Bloom, is a first-person shooter inspired by games like Dusk, Hexen, Doom. And where I'm at right now is a little bit past the tutorial, and I'm just going to show off some gameplay really quick. The game was developed from June to mid-August, so just about 2.5 months. It was a huge challenge. This is the first 3D game we've ever made. Not counting Desolation Place, because that was made at the same. So in terms of like unique challenges, this game had a lot of it was difficult for almost every single department, because a lot of people had never worked in this many dimensions. So I'm gonna try to just make sure I don't die. Another one of the large challenges we faced when making this game was work commitment. It was made during the summertime, and since it's mostly students making the game, you have to make sure that everyone's actually, committed to the game. Time people might not want to work as much; they want to take breaks from school, and so from a leadership perspective, we had to do a lot of work in ensuring we had strict deadlines that we actually adhered to, that we followed. We had to be kind of genuinely agile. I know agile is kind of like a buzz. If we found out that some students were kind of dropping out, or if work wasn't getting done at the pace we needed, we would sometimes have to kind of readjust scope in the middle of just so we could actually get the game done. There's 3 levels in total. We tried to do a ton of let me do something really quick. So we learned a lot of lessons when we were making this game. Probably one of the most important things was play testing it. Some of the problems we had with some of the made is we didn't play test early enough. And so with this, we decided to really go gung-ho and just We kind of made a playtesting pipeline. We made doing it almost every mass meeting. Designers were they were assigned playtesting assignments. They had to go out and find someone to play the game, record everything, and then kind of think of solutions for how to get the game to work better. And then really into the combat. This game is a lot more challenging than we expected it to be. In a good way, in a very good way. Since we were also working on such a tight schedule, we learned a lesson very hard that you're going to throw away a lot more work than you keep. We had a ton of ideas. We had things that were, you would say finished, but we just didn't have the time to actually iterate and get it working really well. We had to, I like to call it a minimalist mindset. We had to just really focus on what the core experience is and just adhere to it, cut away anything else that didn't adhere to it, didn't make the game better as a whole, and just really focus on making the game fun.
$60 seconds.
Oh no. Let's see if I can get to the end of this level.
Yeah, this game is pretty tricky, particularly toward the end.
There we go. The Tome of Power. Alright. That's about it. This is level 2.
All
This
right.
level's awesome.
Well, you can keep playing, and we will get some Twitch questions for you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So 5 minutes. Let's go, Twitch chat. So Michael Clamors, it brings me a lot of joy that Dusk and Hexen were influences on this. I assume that Wolverine Soft can't sell stuff, so I hope it leads to some people eventually making a FPS studio. Especially since the retro FPS thing is in now, this game has an aesthetic that the other ones aren't doing.
Yeah, we really like the kind of billboards that Doom has, and we kind of did it with vector art, and we kind of played into the fact that it's in a 3D space, but they're 2D enemies, so they bend back, and
yeah. It looks really great. Question, and this is one I've asked the other studios as well. What are the installs? You put this game on itch.io. What are the installs looking like so far?
I'm not sure what you mean.
So how many, usually you're given some sort of statistics on how many people played the game.
Yeah, let me check it really quick.
Okay. And Twitch chat, if you have any other, oh no, rest in peace. I think you got to stay select, so we're okay.
So we have 674 views on the Bloom page, and then we have 65 downloads.
All right, great, well done. Okay, Twitch, do we have any more questions? I've got one. So in Wolverine Soft Studio, the games that you've put out thus far have been pretty different from one another, which is fantastic. I wonder, however, and this isn't a super big concern because you're not a commercial studio, but is there any talk of, how do we reuse some of this technology? How do we use this current project to get a bigger head start on our next ones?
Yeah, so kind of being half serious, we have talked about like continuing development on some of the games, and we've also brought it up in like the pitching phase. Like when Dream Willow was a huge success, we talked about like, what if we kind of just kept making it and fleshed the game out, iterated on what we have, because that's iterating on like getting to the point where it's a finished game that like, we couldn't charge money for it, but something that we would feel confident like being like, this is a good finished game, like full scale.
Yes.
To the point where we could balance a game and like iterate on it to that point, which I think would be really interesting to do.
It would be. Your objective as a studio is to educate your members.
It is.
But a big part of authentic dev experiences, especially at the AA or AAA level, is jumping on to an existing code base and making improvements to it, figuring out what it does and how to use it.
Yeah, Fresh eyes on a project could probably make it even better. 'Cause they're not all the issues, they will be obvious to them. So
Yeah. Robot Adventure has a question. What was the most surprising design update you needed to make to update this Doom to a more modern design?
ooh, that's a really difficult question.
Yeah. Or in general, what surprises did you find out in this development process?
So one of the things I thought was very interesting was the importance of art polish and audio.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's an important phase of development, but when you get to the point where you're trying to balance enemies, you're trying to balance weapons, and then you find out that some weapon is maybe weak or too powerful simply because of the way it sounded or the way it looked when you fired it. So those are really, really interesting to see firsthand. Interesting feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like audio in particular, um, the surprising effectiveness of audio is a surprise teams have often. It's really impactful. Okay, Twitch, we got about 30 seconds left for any questions. Any final questions, Twitch chat? I personally, playing this game, I really love how the level design winds back on itself, and kind of brings you back to previous stages and areas, but maybe with a new weapon, right?
Yeah. Yeah, as you progress through the levels, you'll collect everything, and then that, like, for the second level specifically, like, you'll come back and have that final combat
Yes.
encounter there.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, Matthew, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
All right. Okay. So next up, and I don't believe I believe Azure Ravens and Corbin can't present this week, this month. So unfortunately, we won't get to see their update for Paperboy Rush and Peter Paper, but that just saves it for next month. So look forward to that. Next up and last up, we have Alex Trombley, who is also with Wolverine Soft Studio, but with a very different game. They made a game called Desolation Place, and so we'll go ahead and get Alex in here. Hi, Alex. Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
Fantastic. So we should be giving you permission to show your video cam if you want to in just a second. Otherwise, you may click the screen button and get your live screen going if you wanted to show us something.
All right. Yeah, give it just a second for the permissions to kick in. Still waiting for a sec. Apologies, I'm getting over. I caught COVID pretty early on, so I have the
Ooh.
cough still. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hope you get
it's
better.
fine. Yeah, thank you. Here, I'll also post the itch.io page.
Excellent. Thank you. So I think, you know what? I'm a mod on the server. Maybe I can do it. Roles. So I think you actually, what do you have? Do you have the admin role now? I think you do have the admin role. So why don't you try, can you click the video button?
No, it's still saying you can't stream into this channel.
All right, I've given you a few more roles.
Maybe if I disconnect and reconnect.
Focus person, disable video. The video is not disabled for you.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure if Corbin is still at the controls here, but unfortunately, we might have to move on. And we can't see you, but you should still be able to share your screen though.
It's saying I can't stream into the channel still.
Oh, you can't stream either.
Let's see. Okay, there we go.
Okay, excellent. So maybe permissions just had to update for you.
Let me find the right screen to share here. Your card.
If you jumped out and jumped back in, maybe video is working now too.
Yep. Here we are. Yeah.
Excellent. Hello.
Um,
Okay, you've
Hi.
got 5 minutes. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Trombley, a senior at University of Michigan and the art and design lead for Wolverine Soft's other summer project, Desolation Plays. So to reiterate what Matt said a bit earlier, Wolverine Soft Studio is a fairly new student-led team where we work on a game per semester. We tried several new things this go around, including splitting into 2 separate groups with somewhere around 20 to 30 students per team, and our very first venture into 3D. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Desolation Plays. And I'm playing a video of this because there's no way I can focus on talking and playing at the same time. It's a hard game.
Yeah.
Um,
Is there video? Does the video have audio?
yeah.
Oh,
might
I think it's a little low.
Yeah. Can you hear it now?
I can't hear it coming through. Did you share your entire display?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, so the video won't work. If you showed the window, then audio will work.
Here, let me see if I can share that real quick. This might be it. Let's.
Yeah,
find out.
hopefully
No?
it'll work.
Does that actually show anything?
I just see a dot.
3 dots. Okay. Apologies. I might just have to share the screen then and just not have sound.
Yeah, if it's in a web browser, if you watch it there, it should work if you just display the web browser.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll switch over to that then real quick.
Chat is saying that your microphone is very quiet and you're having trouble hearing him. Maybe Corbin can boost your volume level. Oh, I'm turning it up on my end. I've got it turned up. I think Corbin needs to right click and get it turned up though.
Is this better? Can you?
Yeah, it's better to me.
And let's just do a quick audio check. I'll skip ahead where there's actually sound. Can you actually hear
Excellent.
stuff?
We can hear it. Excellent.
Perfect. Should I start over since people can hear me?
I think I would just go for it.
Okay. I had a script here that was carefully timed out. I'll skip through it all. So Desolation Place is a survival horror game. It's first person, and it takes a pretty novel approach to things because where most games focus on sight lines and the enemy seeing you, we focus on sounds and the enemy hearing you. So don't let the gameplay you're seeing fool you. It's actually really difficult. I've just played it so much that at this point I have total mastery of playing it and can speedrun it. But if you look at our itch.io page, you'll find out most people find it extremely difficult. So so a big part of this game was the atmosphere. We spent a lot of time really carefully honing the look of the game and just like the general feel of it. And I think it turned out pretty well. I know one of the biggest struggles we had, and Matt touched on it a little bit, was it being our first foray into 2D or into 3D. I mean, we had pretty much no 2D artists. Actually, my team got all of the 3D artists. There were, and apologies to Matt for that, but it was me and then 2 other 3D artists were the number of people with 3D background in our entire team, and then a couple of other 2D background artists.
60 seconds.
60 seconds. Okay. But yeah, so it's also Wolverine Soft Studios' first game with narrative in it. So I'm very happy of that. So you'll see some little
IO
narrative.
had animatics.
Did it have? Oh yeah, I guess it did have kind of an. Yeah, it did. Ours is the first with written narrative.
There you go.
How about that? but yeah, it's I think it turned out very well, and it's there were definitely a lot of struggles that we had walking in, and I think in general 3D games have a lot of really interesting struggles, like how things come together. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very proud of how it turned out. So
Excellent. Fantastic. So, chat, you've got 5 minutes. Post any questions in that you want Alex to answer. Congratulations to you and your team. In particular, I think the video is about to get to a cathedral area that has just a really nice atmosphere with the ambience and with the look as well. So,
thank you.
So just the music and audio works very well together with the look of the place. So we'll see that in a sec, I imagine. So you said that you were among, I think, 3D modelers for this team, for this project?
Yep.
Yeah,
So
So the question is, to what extent did you use assets from the asset store, and what things did you create within your team?
we didn't use any assets from the asset store.
Ooh, impressive! Wow.
So, yeah, all of it was us.
Fantastic.
Including this darn shader you see, handcrafted. Took me personally 26 hours. I think I put into it.
Which shader is that?
It's applied to everything in the game, so it's a little bit hard to see, but it's if you look around the kind of edges of the flashlight there, it's got something called tonal art mapping, so it's trying to give it a crosshatch look.
Gotcha. Yep, you can see it.
Yeah, that was a long time.
So you also did the animations for the monsters too, yeah?
That wasn't me personally. I did the models for the monsters, but yeah, we at one point we had like hand animated, and then right at the end of development, one of our developers had a really cool idea of doing a lot of IK stuff, so inverse kinematics.
Oh, great! Yes.
So yeah, we got some procedural animation into that land tree, and
excellent.
That really spruced things up.
Yeah, that's really cool. So we got a question from the chat, Michael Clamorous. How does Wolverine Soft handle the narrative design for their games? What's the process?
So I think generally it's usually left up to the design lead a lot of the time. Since most of our games don't really focus on narrative, they focus on gameplay. Like, I think narrative kind of came into this game at the very last second. We were able to squeeze it in. But yeah, most of our games we don't really put in narrative design. We don't really have a process in place for that.
Okay, so it is very kind of it's very iterative right now. Yeah?
Yeah.
You're still trying to figure it out. Okay, well it seemed to have worked pretty well.
Oh, thank you.
So George Geocastle asks, with only 3 3D artists working on the game and not using any asset store assets, how was the workload per artist, and were things manageable?
Yeah, so I will say I think we definitely overworked our artists. We we worked them to death.
Ooh,
so
that's not good.
Luckily, our 2D artists were able to learn 3D stuff surprisingly quickly, much quicker than I learned 3D. So, I'm very proud of what they were able to make. Yeah, rip artist. That's right. It's pretty intense what everybody had to do. Like, I think the environments were generally around a week per environment, so a week per room.
Yep.
And the individual assets, it's just astonishing how quickly, like, all those kind of smaller pieces, our artist working on those, like, he put them out so quickly. It's stunning.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
He was on the team.
It's very impressive. We've got 30 seconds left, and it looks like no more Twitch questions. So, final one. What is the most entertaining bug you had this summer?
Ooh, there's so many. I would say the most entertaining one in my mind is the table surfing bug. And so what that is that early on, and actually in the end game, you see that you can pick up items.
Yep.
And for some reason, tables were working that, like, I assumed it was with the way they were clipping with the player object. When you release the throw button, it would like just hover in place, and then you would clip up onto the top of them, but they would stay hovering. So
Okay.
and we didn't have gravity on the player, so you wouldn't fall. So then you could just keep levering yourself up and up out of the map. Endlessly. So
I'm guessing. I'm guessing it is less scary from outside of it, huh?
Yeah, yeah. It definitely didn't get the fear or horror aspect until like basically the last 2 weeks. That's when it was all like, oh, now it works. Great.
The atmosphere came together, the bugs went away, and the immersion appeared.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. All right. Well, that is time. Thank you very much, Alex, and congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our interview with John Hayase, and for checking out these all these awesome game projects from the community. Does anyone have any community announcements that you can paste into the Twitch chat? You can go ahead and do that. I have one from Larry Cooperman, a PSA. He actually helped. He was the founder of IGDA Ann Arbor, this meetup. And he says, just be very careful. There are a lot of robocalls going around these days, so please be very skeptical when you listen to those calls. If you get any random unsolicited calls, be careful, okay, when you engage with those. Otherwise, it looks like we don't have any community announcements from the chat. So I believe that's it. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I hope seeing all these cool projects has inspired you to go out and create something. Please, if you do so, come back and show it off. We will be posting very quickly the show and tell sign up for the September edition of IGDA Ann Arbor. We'll be posting that in the IGDA Ann Arbor Discord server. Okay? So please go ahead and sign up if you can. Otherwise, we will see you again next month. Stay healthy, stay safe, and yeah, have a fantastic month, okay? Play some video games, eh? Take care. Bye-bye.